everyone! My name is Aninda Putri Ferrawati and I'm from class 5A, and in here I will presentation about neurological test of language, the concept of psycholinguistics, the structure of brain, language areas in our brain, aphasia and CAH. Okay, first I will presentation about concept of psycholinguistics. What is psycholinguistics? Psycholinguistics is the study of language science that decodes how a human brain acquires language, processes it, comprehends it, and gives feedback or produce language is a psycholinguistic. Psycholinguistic is an interdisciplinary field. Hence, it is approached from the areas of different backgrounds such as psychology, cognitive science linguistics, and speech and language pathology. Okay, and psycholinguistics deals mainly with language understanding, production, and acquisition. It is a part of cognitive science that comprises psychology, linguistic anthropology, neuroscience, and computer science. The neurology of language functioning is of current interest to psycholinguists, particularly to those studying aphasia, language after congenital or acquired injury to the immature brain, and developmental disorder of language or dysphasia. Some psycholinguists have also extended their interest to experiments in non-human learning, such as gorillas and chimpanzees, to discover if language as we know it is a uniquely human phenomenon. Psycholinguistic roots in education and philosophy. Cognitive processes refer to a number of tasks the brain does. They are procedures made for processing all the information we receive from the environment. Thanks to these cognitive processes, we are allowed to explore the world and interact with it. And next, I will presentation about the structure of brain. The brain has three main parts: cerebrum, cerebellum, and brainstem. Cerebrum is the largest part of the brain and is composed of right and left hemispheres. It performs higher functions like interpreting touch, vision, and hearing, as well as speech, reasoning, emotion, learning, and fine control of movement. And then, cerebellum is located under the cerebrum. Its function is to coordinate muscle movements, maintain posture, and balance. And then, brainstem acts as a relay center connecting the cerebrum and cerebellum to the spinal cord. It performs many automatic functions such as breathing, heart rate, body temperature, wake and sleep cycles, digestion, sneezing, coughing, vomiting, and swallowing. The human brain is characterized by two hemispheres. The left hemisphere, responsible for the functioning of the right side of the human body, and the right hemisphere, responsible for the functioning of the left side of the human body. These two hemispheres are in constant communication thanks to a specific organ that we call corpus callosum. Okay, next, I'll tell you about language area in human brain. One should know that the left hemisphere is very important in terms of language production and comprehension. And we have three main areas that fulfill such functions. 1. Broca's area in left hemisphere. also known as the anterior cortex, which is responsible for storing and producing speech. Therefore, any damage in this particular area will result in difficulty in producing speech. If you damage the same area in the right hemisphere, there will be no difficulty in producing speech. This is why we say language is located in the left hemisphere. Number 2, Wernicke's area in the left hemisphere, also known as the posterior speech cortex. This part deals with the comprehension or the understanding of speech. In order to have a successful processing of language broadcasts, where one stores language, and Wernicke's system of analytic of language understand language. These two areas need to be linked. In other words, you need to have a link between language production and language comprehension. And then number 3, arcuate fasciculus. Fasciculus combines Broca's and Wernicke's areas to achieve the comprehension and production of language. And then number 4, motor cortex. It is the place on the area that takes control of the movements of a human body, such muscle like feet, hands, and mouth. The localization view. It means that language ability can be given some specific location in the brain and the process of hearing a word, understanding it, then saying it is done through a specific pattern or steps. The word is heard and understood thanks to Wernicke's area. Then the arcuate fasciculus transfers the understanding to Broca's area. Then Broca's area sends a signal to the motor cortex to move the necessary muscles to articulate the word. Next is aphasia. What is aphasia? Aphasia is a disorder that results from damage to portions of the brain that are responsible for language. For most people, these areas are on the left side of the brain. Aphasia usually occurs suddenly, after following a stroke or head injury, but it may also develop slowly as a result of a brain tumor or a progressive neurological disease. The disorder impairs the expression and understanding of language as well as reading and writing. Aphasia may co-occur with speech disorder, such as dysarthria or apraxia of speech, which also result from brain damage. What causes aphasia? Aphasia is caused by damage to one or more of the language areas of the brain. Most often, the cause of the brain injury is a stroke. A stroke occurs when a blood clot or a leaking or burst vessel cuts off blood flow to part of the brain. Brain cells die when they don't receive the normal brain cell die when they don't receive their normal supply of blood, which carries oxygen and important nutrients. Other causes of brain injury are severe blows to the head, brain tumors, gunshot wound, brain infection, and progressive neurological disorder, such as Alzheimer's disease. And there is a types of aphasia, such as expressive aphasia, non-fluent, receptive aphasia, fluent, anomic aphasia, global aphasia, primary progressive aphasia. Then next, CAH, critical age hypothesis. The fact that even our closest relatives in the animal kingdom cannot be taught language strongly suggests that language is based on biological foundations unique to our species. This foundation comprise the child's ability to acquire its first language effortlessly as part of its normal maturation process, regardless of the language and of the learning environment. This foundation also comprises the adult's ability to learn foreign language, though the task is both different in nature and significantly more difficult. The CAH is part of a larger issue of how much of our ability for language, if any, is special and exclusively dedicated to language, as opposed to how much is based on domain general, non-exclusive ability. As in any science, the simplest hypothesis would be one which makes no special assumption, the null hypothesis. In this case, the null hypothesis is the domain general hypothesis. The language doesn't require anything biological that is exclusively dedicated to it. Okay, thank you. It's a presentation from me. Thanks for your attention and goodbye.